Well, hello and welcome to our thought for the day for Monday, the 21st of September. My name is Graham Hoslett. On the 23rd of March, we started our thought for the days in Psalms. We began with Psalm 27 as it was a psalm that seemed to have a lot to say to us, as at that time we were entering that national lockdown. We continued through April, May, June, July and August, looking mostly at a psalm a day, working through to Psalm 150. We're now looking at Psalms 1 to 26, the psalms we missed out, offering a thought for the day on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Pam started us off last Friday thinking about Psalm 1, and Pam invited us to think about the choices we make. In Psalm 2, we are again presented with a choice. And like many psalms, the theme of Psalm 2 is emphasised in the final verse. I'm going to read Psalm 2. Listen out for the final verse in the 12th, for the final verse, the theme of the psalm in the 12th verse. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. Then he rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will rule them with an iron scepter. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth, serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. And then the last verse, verse 12 of Psalm 2. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you be destroyed in your way. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. The theme of Psalm 2. Emphasised in the final verse, kiss the Son, lest he be angry. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. In effect, the theme of the psalm, we can defy the Lord's anointed, Jesus, and perish, or we can surrender to the Lord's anointed, Jesus, and be blessed. It seems an obvious choice. Who wouldn't want to say yes to Jesus? And yet many don't, and many won't. In the opening verses of Psalm 2, the psalmist seems genuinely mystified. The nations have no reason to rage against God. There's no benefit in conspiring against him or his anointed. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. In Acts 4, verses 25 to 28, Peter quoted these verses about Pilate, Herod, the Gentiles, and the people of Israel conspiring against Jesus. But reading Psalm 2, the psalmist seems to be genuinely mystified. Why would anyone take a stand against God and against the one the Lord has chosen? It doesn't seem to make any sense. Maybe it is simply worth our noting that opposition to Jesus, to the gospel, often doesn't make any sense. But that doesn't mean in this life that people will always respond positively to Jesus and the good news. Many will oppose him and it. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. Spurgeon, the great preacher, said of this verse, he said, to a graceless neck, the yoke of Christ is intolerable. but to the saved sinner it is easy and light. Spurgeon said, "We may judge ourselves by this. Do we love that yoke? What Jesus wants us to do and what Jesus calls us to be? Or, Spurgeon says, do we wish to cast it from us? Are you for him or against him?" But then in verse 7 we read, "I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He said to me, 'You are my son, today I have become your father.' I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He said to me, 'You are my son.'" In Psalm 2, this is the Lord's anointed himself speaking. The writer of the letter to the Hebrews quotes this passage in Hebrews 1 verse 5 as evidence of the deity of Jesus and his superiority to all angels. While angels are sometimes called the sons of God in a generic sense in the Old Testament, in Job 1 verse 6, the Father never said, "my son," to any angel in a specific sense. That is reserved for God the Son, the second person of the Trinity. But in John 1 verses 10 to 13, we read these wonderful words. Jesus, he was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet, to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. In 1 John 3 verse 1, John writes, "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that," he says, "is what we are." When we asked Jesus into our lives, the Father spoke the same words over each of us. "You are my son, my daughter. Today I have become your father." And then also as his children, his sons and daughters, he says to each of us, "Ask of me." Jesus said in Matthew 7, "Ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, to the one who knocks the door will be opened." Hear the Lord speaking these words over you. "You are my son, my daughter. I have become your father. Ask of me." Jesus went on to say in Matthew 7 verses 9 to 11, "Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him?" What will you ask of him today, now? Don't be afraid to ask. But the warning in verses 10 to 12 and the promise that Psalm 2 ends with, the choice it leaves us with. Spoken to the kings and rulers of the earth, but spoken to them, also spoken to each of us, whatever our place in life, our standing in the society or the age we are living in. "Therefore, you kings, be wise, be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you be destroyed in your way, for his wrath can flare up in a moment." And the promise? "Blessed are all who take refuge in him." Psalm 2 tells us out straight. Those who oppose, who refuse the Lord's anointed, however strong they seem, will be broken, shattered. But whoever kisses the Son, submits to him, takes refuge in him, however strong or weak they seem, will be blessed. What will you choose? To be shattered by Christ, or to find shelter in him? The choice is yours.